Hey, beautiful souls. Thought I would pop on here and just chat with you guys for a minute. Nothing special. I was just out here watching the sunset and it was gorgeous. Lots of blues and pinks and purples. I love sunsets. They never get old to me. So I was thinking, most of the day today, I've thought about someone singing, one of my neighbors. Sounds like a child. I was thinking about earlier today how if you strip the intuition from a sovereign soul, from anyone, from you or I or anyone, intuition, hey Taylor, there's my daughter watching. Intuition is so important for us, and we've almost completely lost that intuitive voice that's in us. When I say us, I mean as a collective. We've been conditioned in everything that we have learned or we've been cultured toward, or maybe we were raised in, to where we don't have to trust that voice inside. And so it's become smaller and smaller. We hear it less. We hear the static going on around us even more so. But it's so important that we don't lose our intuition as a collective, as a whole, that you do hear the voice within you. And a lot of people say, well, that's God's voice. Well, that's your voice. You are an extension of the Christ. You house that same energy, that same life, that same life flow from the divine. Your humanity and divinity work together like that. And if you strip the intuitive aspect from everyone, they pretty much are just doing what the narrative says to do. They don't trust that small voice inside them. In fact, they get so used to not being led by it and not hearing it that it's just one more thing that gets you entangled in the clutter that's around you. And I've thought a lot about the wonder of a child. You know, wonder is the glue that holds the universe together. It really is. We should walk in wonder and live in wonder. And what does the word say? Unless you're like a child, you will not see the kingdom. It doesn't say you will not go to heaven. Heaven, you're housing the kingdom. The kingdom is within. But you can't truly enter into the kingdom unless you do it as that of a child. And doing it as a child, it doesn't take much work to think about that. Children don't argue with the wonder. They don't insist that the wonder explain itself. In their minds, you know, it doesn't take you very long to watch even a child play or go through his imagination or her imagination. They do it naturally. They act out of their imagination. Nothing is impossible. They may be a sword fighter one day and they may be a fireman the next day, and there's nothing holding them back from doing either one. Children live off of freedom and intuition, and but there comes a time in your life that stuff gets hushed. The important stuff gets hushed, and we begin to be reared in a way where we need to be intellectual. We need to think intellectual. And if we don't use our intellect, that we're wasting time. Well, I just say to you today, no, you're not. If you stop on the side of the road and pick up a dandelion after it's seeded and you blow it into the air, that's every much as important as making a decision for a merger with the CEOs around the table. Everything is important like that. You don't have to think about a child, what's important to a child. You were all children at one time, but we've all lost our way so far going into just the planet around us, the intellectual vision of where we live and the way we were formed and created to embody this planet and work with it. And it's really changed us as we have matured in the eyes of what we would be expected to mature. But sometimes I think we need to just park the car and jump out and grab that flower. We need to do that. We don't need to lose the sovereignty of our soul. We don't need to lose the things that make us us. They're the most important to me. And I know the other things are important. We have to have jobs and we have to function in this earth, but don't lose your identity in those things. Those are all things that are passing away. The who that you are, the essence that you are, even those things need that essence, need that balance, need that divinity that you offer. You know, we as mankind, we have made so many cool things on this earth. We have done and created things that have made life easier or have evolved and made, you know, we look back when we have an ice storm or something and we lose electricity and we think, well, thank God I'm not one of those that lived in the years previous before they had electricity and I could just flip the light on. It's kind of like our lives. Our lives have been mimicked toward that in that way, just for the understanding. I'm using that as an example. You know, our lives, we have been trained for the ease of things to evolve into just flipping a switch on and just going into the action of something. But I think sometimes we need to get back to the basics before that switch was ever even able to be flipped. We need to go back to who we are, what we do, what our essence is on this earth, because it truly has a purpose. All of these things around us didn't create themselves. We are powerful creators, and creation that we are creating needs that aspect of who we are. Because wonder is the glue that holds the universe together. And we are humanity and divinity within these bodies. So we are full of wonder. If we're walking that ancient pathway of who we are, we bring that as a byproduct into this earth. That's all I wanted to share with you today. And I'm glad that you all jumped on to listen. I was just musing. That's all it was. But I hope you guys have a good night. I had my infusion today and started it. We drove down this morning at, I think we left the house a little after 7:30. And so the infusion takes an hour and then I have to wait there an hour. And man, I was so tired. I fell asleep in the chair and then slept in the car on the way home and then got in bed. And I didn't wake up until 6 o'clock tonight. So I'm having my coffee, my iced coffee. But I'm so grateful for that medication, for those infusions. You know, they're every 28 days. And sometimes that's a pain having to go back and forth every 28 days. But Tysabri is an amazing drug. And I'm so grateful for it. But today, I totally rested on it. I rested throughout the day. It's not bad to do that sometimes. Your body will tell you when you need something like that. You guys have a great night. And I will see you again soon. We're doing, I forgot, I was going to say something about me and one of my friends, Laureen, are going to do a Facebook on Thursday. So if any of you are able to join live, that would be great. If you're not and you catch the replay, I can't wait to see you on the replay. But I love you guys and have a blessed night.